You know what that is? Do you know what that is? Yeah, me neither. This is coming way farther apart than I wanted it to. I did not know this, but this is a modified shifter. I guess the previous owner did it. I'm noticing that it has some spacers underneath some stuff, and it crashed into the chassis pretty hard. And this car's always had some shifting issues. I wonder if it has something to do with that. So we're really close to getting these other factory shifter cables out so we can replace them. That's the whole point of this. And I'm also going to remove some airbag stuff while we're at it. All right, that's what we got going on right now. We're swapping out shifting cables on the ST185. I'm a little bit concerned. These new cables appear to be a little bit longer. I don't know if that's going to be an issue. I guess we'll have to take it apart or put it back together and see. Little concerned. I think I have seen things on the internet where that it might be an issue. Let's cross our fingers and hope it's not, though. I'm not really interested in dealing with that, but I will if I have to. Besides the length being different from the factory ones, this is the other issue I'm seeing. I pressed out the bushings these came with. Like, there's a little bit of rubber in there still, but there's also a gap around this bearing for these aftermarket roller bearing style shifter things. So what I think I'm going to do is clean up the rubber and then use some shim stock to take up that slop, and hopefully that works out. Alright, I'm a little bit upset. 3 for 3. So the bushings don't fit, they're too long, and these clips, when you go to actually put them in the bracket, they don't even hold it in. It's too friggin' loose. So that's 3 issues, and that has made me decide that I'm not going to use them, which upsets me because I spent money on them, and the money I spent on these could have gone to the turbo blanket, which would have got me closer to driving it. Now, why did I buy these? Is because I want this to shift really nice and not have any issues, and I heard that shifter cables help with those type of things. Obviously not in my case for this one. So I'm going to try to clean up the original ones and use them, but I can't return these either because I pressed the bushings out of them. The rubber bushings that they came with for the transmission side. So a little upset about that, but this is how this stuff goes. I would consider this is a factory one. That one feels pretty good. This one, on the other hand, other side, not as good, and also this part of it keeps popping off. Oh geez, it just broke more. This part of it keeps coming loose. This one feels very kinky. It does go back together, but I don't know how I feel about how that feels. I need to reconsider these other ones that I purchased. Well, I ultimately decided to try to use the cables that I purchased. Now they are longer, and what that does basically, because this is longer here, its resting position is slightly more to the left. I don't think that's a huge deal. Now this one's also ever so slightly longer. This is the forward back guy. And the only thing I'm really seeing with that is it's not crashing, but it does put this a little bit closer to the edge of this shifting thing. Now I do have a lot of slop in this because I'm still on the rubber bushings for this base. Another thing to consider when you have these longer aftermarket cables is fifth. It's pretty much rubbing against the, like this lower cup is rubbing against the bracket there. Does it prevent you from shifting? No, but it does add a fucking noise. So that's something to consider. Overall, I think that these do make it feel like it shifts better, and that's my goal. It's much more smooth, it's much more loose, and yeah, I can roll through the gears, and it does not feel clunky whatsoever. Even considering the fact that this thing is moving all around while I'm going through them. So yeah, I am no longer upset that I purchased them. They worked out. They're definitely still a bit long, and I do need to do a little bit of cable management with the factory stuff going on in here. I did not install that just in case I had to remove them again. So I'm going to put that stuff together, make sure it still feels good, and then I'll kind of decide what I want to do with this crashing. I'm probably going to end up windowing this, or doing some metal shaping. But yeah, overall they work better than the factory ones that were a little bit worn out, and that one cable was definitely bad, so it worked out. I forgot to mention my workaround for these being a bit more loose than the factory pucks, like these cups here that take these clips. I basically just put these in a vise and put a little bit more of a bend in them than they had, and that seemed to take up the slop that it had, and now they're super tight. So it puts the tension on them that they need. It shouldn't vibrate out. That was my other concern. Specifically on the engine bay sides, these are in pretty good shape. They're pretty new looking. They still have the zinc on them. The ones in the engine bay were pretty worn out looking, and those definitely needed to be bent. These not so much. These went in pretty good and held this in place. So that was my workaround with that, was just putting them in a vise and giving them a little bit more of a bend. Alright, to get these shifter cables to work without this thing here crashing, basically had to window this out so we could get into fifth and reverse. Also had to open this up so that that guy could come up enough to get into reverse. And also had to open up this just slightly. But it shifts really nice, so overall I call that a success. Jeez, success. Comes a not so much fun part of the video. I'm going to throw the interior together, and then I'm going to try to replace the steering rack with the engine in the car. I don't know if it's possible, I really don't, but we're going to find out here in a second, and you're going to find out with me. Wow! Yeah, I'll just put it right on this box like this. More cutting. Mm-hmm. That worked out so good. Ooh. Let's see if it looks like the one that's in the car. Well, they're not identical, but they appear to have ports in the same area or same location, the exact same location. The dimensions seem to be the same. The shape of everything seems to be the same. So I'm hoping, even though this isn't basically, that one's two pieces, it's basically bolts here, this one's just one piece, so I imagine it's just an updated version. But we'll find out here in a second. That's got to come out anyway. I'm hoping, what did I do with my flashlight? Aha! I'm hoping once I get the steering linkage off in there, which you can't see, and those two pressure and return line, I'll be able to pull it out through here. That's the hope. That's the hope. I don't think I'll be able to go down with it. Definitely can't go down with it, but might be able to pull it through this pocket here. So fingers crossed. This is not going to be a fun job either way. The other side's definitely easier to get to the hardware. This side you can get to it, but it's very close. Like, I don't know if you can see that engine mount in there. See that red guy? That's right up against the hardware for that that mount. Not impossible, but it's not going to be fun. So I'm probably not going to film a lot of this. I'll just do some highlights. Okay, bye. Okay, it's another day. We're still working on this power steering rack. I had to stop early yesterday and go cruise around with some friends because it's hot rod weekend here in York, Pennsylvania. So basically all I got done was removing all the fasteners from like the mounts and everything except for one. I was able to get to every single bolt and hose line, whatever you want to call it, pretty easily from up here. And through this hole on this side, was able to get to all the mounts except for one bolt on the driver's side, and that's the one that I showed earlier that has the engine mount, like directly behind it basically. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do today is drop the subframes out of the car, and that should give me access to, one, remove that engine mount, and two, get to that last bolt. So once that bolt's out, I might actually be able to drop it straight down because the cross member's not in the way. But we'll find out here in a second. Getting started. Okay, this is what I got going on right now. So basically, the part that the steering shaft attaches to does not fit through this hole here. Like I thought it was going to. I thought I was going to be able to kind of finagle it out. So I think my plan is now is to, I pushed it this way, the whole way this way. I dropped the inner tie rod down. I think if I remove the exhaust, I'll be able to kind of like shimmy the rack out. The big problem here with this is that there's a transfer case directly in this, you can't see. There's a transfer case right here that's not allowing me to drop it straight down. So I think if I get the exhaust out of the way, I might be able to snake it out that way. I'm really hoping I don't have to pull the engine out to do this because that would be silly. I'll get back to you. The book does say, whoops. The book does say that I can remove the rack without removing the engine, but I'm having a really hard time because it's saying that you can remove it from that hole. But why can't I remove it from this hole when they're the same size? They appear to be the same size, but for some reason I have to move it the whole way to the right, which this is the right side of the car, and it says it'll come out. I don't believe them. Also, there's stuff in the way. Okay. Oh my goodness. I've never so ineffectively repaired something. Like, look at this. well, it's probably all leaked out now, but like, it's just, I've never so ineffectively repaired anything. I've never made something so much worse in my entire life. I'm so happy I didn't have to pull the engine. Oh my goodness. This is what we're working with. They're not identical as far as construction, but as far as dimensions and whatnot, they seem to be the same. So I'm going to stuff this guy in and hope all is well. It's pretty crazy the amount that you had to disassemble this car to get the steering rack out. But that's pretty nuts. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought I was going to have to pull the exhaust off, but I did. Anyway, so let's stuff this back in. We got it in. That was not a very fun job. We got her in though. I would say putting the new one in to the holes, easy. Getting the steering column and the splines lined up with the new steering rack, not easy. That took me probably the longest amount of time, was just getting that lined up and then actually getting the clamps on. I don't know why, but we got her in. So now all I gotta do is subframes. You can't see that one probably. Subframes, reinstalled, exhaust. Probably should do the exhaust first. Yeah, should probably do exhaust first. Then subframes. You know, I probably should actually wipe down the entire underside of this car because of all the power steering fluid. It's disgusting under there. It's literally, yeah, you can't touch anything without getting gross. So I should probably just clean that now and then do all that stuff. So that's what's left. Success. Well, I shouldn't say that. Still got to fill it with fluids. Still got to make sure all that works. But at least it's installed for now. Okay, shutting up. We got her all back together. We also, it's been a couple days, but I've also put fluid in this thing and kind of bled the steering rack without starting the car, just, you know, going back and forth with the steering wheel to get fluid through the thing. And I do not appear to see any leaks, so that's a good thing. We'll kind of have to reevaluate that once once we actually start it. But so far, we're looking a lot better than we were before, so that's cool. So that's going to probably pretty much wrap up this episode. I need to apologize to you guys because I know the past couple videos for this car have not been very interesting, but that's just kind of how, you know, building cars goes. Not everything is glamorous. You know, you got to work through some things. You have to, like, go through and just do it all. And a lot of parts of it are not that interesting. So that's kind of what I'm documenting, just showing you a different side of the glamorous sides of building cars, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm having fun. Hope you're having fun. We're really close to getting this part of the project done, I would say. What would you call that? It's phase one. Phase one's almost done for this car. I need to do one more fab project, which will be the next video, and bleed the brakes, and this thing's ready to go. And I'm really excited to have that aspect of it done. But yeah, I'm apologizing to you guys because it's not been very interesting. But I just want to document it anyway. I think it's fun. But yeah, so if you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. Please consider maybe leaving a like or a comment. I would appreciate that. I'll talk to you guys. But yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.